Koma and konnichiwa. Plus, Yabaseo. Well, here at the POLIT'AI CHI, talking briefly and concisely about video highlights coming up with regards to that's interesting little factoid going on right there. And so I will speak for my part, having been a former card-carrying, slightly left of center, but still Democrat. I chose my degrees in school, a couple minors with a major, to be an environmentalist on the impact mitigation side, because all the jobs back then, this is the 90s, mid-90s mind you, I'm going to couch my age, I guess I just sort of did, were like geotechnical engineering, natural resource extraction. The concept of fracking back then was known of, but not pursued because of all the refuse that would be left over. Hey, the world needs gravel. And as long as you're adhering to EPA standards, as opposed to, I don't know, China, Russia, you think they give a GED about their environment? Take it out, you got a bunch of oligarch billionaires there now. And so that reads sort of like diametrically juxtaposed to what was being taught in the 90s, because you hear it, you might hear it through certain sources. We were going to run out of oil, we were going to run out of energy, we as in the world, and it's just not happening. There's so much untapped resources out there. And this comes from the guy who wrote the EIS, that's Environmental Impact Statement, that the key lobbyists there in DC, this is where I was, graduating from the U of U. As part of my final, what would you call that, internship, to get my major finished, that President Clinton decided to do that, the Grand Staircase National Monument Declaration. A lot of people call that, on the other side, the largest land grab in U.S. history. And it is. We would call it a land grab, but in terms of designating an area off limits to natural resources extraction, because of the fear that fracking would cause to the environment. That happened. I wrote it. All you GOPers up there have been there for life. Yeah. Hey, it was sort of me. I won't say it was all me, but I had a big part in it. And the technology and innovation here in the US of A, maybe in the 90s it was looked at like, well, sure, using that technology then would have created a lot of environmental impacts. Now, not so much. And so we're not reliant on the Middle East anymore, and that's a good thing. All right, you'll have to pardon the navy blue. Did some stuff for GHW. A little neutral color. Gonna do some college football stuff later. All of the Heisman. Thanks for watching. Roll.
Well, for the first time in decades, America is a net exporter of oil. That means there's more crude going out than coming in. That means we are energy independent. I'll bet you didn't see that or see that on the evening news. Of course not, because it is a big win for President Trump. If you've watched this program, you will know why this is happening. It's all about the new American-invented drilling technology, sometimes referred to as the fracking revolution. Do not underestimate this achievement. Even 5 years ago, it was thought to be an impossible dream. Energy independence, forget about it. Now it's real. And think what's about to come. On the Gulf Coast, 9 terminals are planned which could accommodate supertankers. There's only one that can do it now. They will be loading crude from that giant underground ocean of oil known as the Permian Basin in Texas. By the way, the Geological Survey just reported that there's much, much more oil there than previously thought. And we can get at it with our new American technology. That's just Texas. Now think of the implications of this. We no longer depend on countries which hate us. The Iranians no longer have us over a barrel. We can pressure Russia. Their economy is heavily dependent on oil. They're suffering. And we are clearly pressuring Saudi Arabia. Make no mistake. It is American frackers who have played a large part in driving oil down to the $50 a barrel range and gas way below $3 a gallon. And I haven't even mentioned our gigantic and growing production of natural gas. I'll save that for another time. Let's leave it at this. America rules the energy world and all Americans benefit. Thank you, frackers, and thank you, Mr. President. The third... Well, you heard my little rant there about energy independence. Don't you love it? Let's get some reaction from John Lonsky, Managing Director at Moody's, no less. I say we're energy dominant, and you say what?
That is a great story. That's so true. And this brings attention to the importance of technology and government regulation to the performance, not only of the economy, but also the geopolitics, the balance of power.
Yeah, it's a thing. But some people see very, very cheap oil as a bad thing for our stock market. I don't understand.
No, that's absolute nonsense. You know, the aim of technological progress is to provide you with more output, higher quality output at lower cost. You want this to happen over time. It's nonsensical to worry about oil becoming too cheap.
Okay, what about cheap gas? I thought that it was going to give a huge shot in the arm to our fourth quarter. But I see these new jobs numbers, and in November we only got 155,000. What's with that?
Yeah, that's a big disappointment, isn't it? You know, maybe in part that's telling us we're running out of qualified workers. It wasn't that long ago, a month or two ago, that they told us we had far more job openings than the number of people unemployed. That's something you to go ahead and consider. If we are running out of workers, that necessarily implies labor productivity is going to be going higher, and that's going to be beneficial to the real wages of those working, and maybe more of an incentive for others to get back the labor.
I gotta say though, we had what, 4% growth in the second quarter, 3% in the third quarter, right, 2.5% in the fourth quarter, only 155,000 new jobs. I don't like that downtrend, John.
I don't like it either, and I think the time has come to bring an end to Fed rate hikes. Do you know, right now I looked at the Fed Funds futures contract just before I came on the show, and Fed Funds futures now assigns a higher probability to a Fed funds rate that is less than 2.38% at year-end 2019 than to a Fed funds rate that is above 2.38%.
What does that mean?
So that means that at most, we get one rate hike according to the futures market moving forward. We get it in December and perhaps no rate hike in 2019. And that could give the economy a chance to regather some steam. And thanks to technological progress and oil and whatnot, inflation should remain well contained.
You're out on a limb here, because I don't know any other economist or a market watcher who's saying, well, don't raise rates. We don't need any rate rise.
Well, I'm not on it. This is what the Fed Funds futures market is telling me. This is what the market is telling me. I'm not making this up, okay? I'm not hallucinating or I'm not delusional. Maybe the market's wrong, maybe, but it is telling you that there's a very limited upside for interest rates, and the FOMC was getting carried away when they were predicting a 3.13% Fed funds rate by the end of 2019.
That's good news. Let's see if you move the market. John Lonsky, thank you very much indeed, sir. Funds have completely sold their positions in that company, and the stock is down.
In case that didn't come through. 90 mutual funds. Hey, I've written about it, and so did Barney. He doesn't do Facebook, neither do I. Be advised.
1.4%. Watch out, it might change in 10 minutes. If you're looking to move, chances are you are moving to this one state, not necessarily the one on the screen. It's attracting more new residents than any other. And we're going to tell you which state we're talking about in one moment. First though, do you remember this famous scene from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation? Chevy Chase loading your station wagon with a laughably large tree. Well, hold on. We may have found the real-life Clark Griswold. This van was caught on a traffic camera hauling an absurdly large Christmas tree on its roof. This is in Britain. The police tweeted the image and said, hey, you drivers, consider the car's capability before you load up. The truth is, you get it all on Barney now, don't you? And we will be back.
Merry is a wise way to say Merry Christmas.
A very Merry Christmas.
A very, very Merry Christmas to you.